Hi, I'm Madison from Riding Warehouse, and today we're going to show you how to fit your English bridle. We're going to begin with a traditional snaffle bridle and go through some of the different types of nosebands and include an anatomical and double bridle. Starting with our traditional snaffle bridle, you want to make sure that everything is set on one of the middle holes, trying to keep the bit from being too tight when we start. We'll start with adjusting the bit first to make sure that the horse is comfortable, wanting to see 2 wrinkles here. So we'll take this up 1 hole so that it's snug but not too tight or too loose. And then we'll check our crown piece and brow band. This one's a little too tight for her, so the contouring doesn't hit quite in the right spot, and the brow band's a little snug, so we would go up a size if this was her bridle. For our noseband, we want to make sure there's 2 fingers. So we'll take this down. And then for tightness, we want to be able to fit 2 fingers and move them around a little bit. So that would be about right for her. And then the throat latch should be fairly loose. You want to be able to fit a fist between her jaw and the band. So this one's about right, maybe a little snug for her. Now we're going to show you how to adjust the different types of nosebands, starting with our flash attachment. So making sure first that it lands in front of the bit. We want the buckle to be away from the bit itself and away from the lips. It should fit similar to our noseband with 2 fingers and being able to move them around. And we want to make sure when we tuck our strap that the keeper doesn't land near the bit or near the lips so it doesn't pinch. For our crank noseband, there's not a ton of differences from our traditional. It'll still be 2 fingers below. We're just going to have this separate chin pad. So you want to make sure that you still have the 2 finger tightness, being able to roll those fingers around. You'll just want to make sure that you don't over tighten, which is very easy to do with this separate piece. For our figure 8 noseband, we'll start with the noseband section. It's going to land just in front of the cheekbone, but it's going to follow the same 2 finger tightness rule, being able to move those around. And then we'll check this pad here. We want it to be up, further up her nose, away from the nasal passages. And then we'll adjust this section just like a regular flash, keeping the buckles away from the bit and being able to move 2 fingers around. And then when we're done, double checking the pad to make sure we don't need to slide it up a little bit more. For the drop noseband, it's going to attach similar to a flash in front of our bit. Ideally, it's going to sit lower than this one fits on her. This one's a little bit too short, so ideally it would fit down here. But it'll adjust in front of the bit, following that same 2 finger rule, being able to move those around, and with this ring not interfering with the bit like it does here. So it'll sit more down there. For our anatomic bridles, there's not a huge difference other than the placement of the noseband. Most of them are going to have this curve here to avoid the sensitive facial nerves. So you'll want to make sure when you go to tighten it that it lands right here below the cheekbone, still following the 2 finger rule for the noseband, and if it includes a flash, same for the flash, that it follows that 2 finger rule and keeping the buckles away from the bit. For the double bridle, the noseband rule is going to follow either the crank or traditional, depending on which type you have. It's never going to include a flash. The biggest adjustment point for a double is going to be this second bit. And the way you're going to set it is making sure you can fit 1 finger between the bits. You don't want it to fit more, as it'll sit too low and put jaw pressure, and too tight, they'll interfere with each other. And then for your curb chain, you'll just make sure that you get it to lay flat. And attaching it somewhere in a middle position. The tighter your curb chain, the less leverage you're going to have from that curb bit. The looser the curb chain, the more leverage you'll get out of that bit. So that neutral position is usually a good place to start. We hope these fitting instructions are helpful for getting the right fit. Check out more tips and tricks on English bridles at our Learning Center and our great selection at ridingwarehouse.com.